Did Shamar Stewart go too far hitting Joe Burrow? We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast. Coming up on the Wincinnati podcast.
Hello, world. Cincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
It's a new beginning. You know what that means, right?
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace. He is Zim. Been a while. We haven't been able to recap the last preseason game with you. We haven't been able to talk about some of the new updates. So we are here to go over that. Zim, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing pretty daggone good, man. I'm happy to be on here, a little lunchtime special. Sometimes we do this for our Wincinnati faithful. Feeling good, feeling great about that. There's been a lot of different things I think that we didn't get a chance to cover as much, including like the last preseason game. We really never recapped it. Shout out to the Bengals Pulse. If you guys are following the channel, as you should, for all Bengals content, make sure you subscribe, cut alerts on. Bengals Pulse also did a recap show after that game, so they kind of went over a good amount. And I think through Twitter and all different other outlets that we got, whatever, me and you, we throw out like our thoughts throughout the week and stuff too. So that's the main thing I think with the preseason stuff.
Yeah, and also the show is presented by Fans of Cincy. Make sure that you guys get ready and join at fansofcincy.com. They are going to have trips for Miami, Denver, Green Bay. It's going to include your flight, hotel, game tickets, all-inclusive tailgate. Make sure that you guys sign up at fansofcincy.com. Me and Zim attended Fans of Cincy, very professional organization, very dope experience. That tailgate is going to have all the food, drinks, and everything. If you don't want to deal with making sure that you have to plan your whole itinerary, let Fans of Cincy do it for you. You can sign up today at fansofcincy.com. We appreciate them for sponsoring the show. But Zim, let's get into it, brother. What are your thoughts on the preseason game? A lot of people, I know I spoke to you after the game. A lot of people weren't happy with the defense. What were your thoughts in the game? What were the good things? What were the bad things? And what are the things you think that the Bengals can build on?
Right. There's been quite a little bit of time since then, so I'm going to try my best to remember as much as I can. But yeah, it was very interesting. Warren Sharp actually put out efficiency numbers, adjusted EPA per play yesterday, like in the aftermath of all the preseason games. And does everyone know who the number one quarterback was in the NFL? Contrary to the beliefs, I know we see Shedeur Sanders on our timelines all day, and you're like, oh, man, he had such a great game. I believe he was 26 on that list as far as efficiency, EPA per play. So a lot of the hype and all these different things about it, sure, kid had a pretty good game. But the number one quarterback, and as Bengals fans, I always feel as though they like show us everything that we don't do well, which we are going to get into. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Joe Burrow was the number one quarterback in all of football in preseason. And it's a gift and a curse. Because if I say that, then you're like, it's just preseason, Zim. I get it. But if he played bad, you'd be like, bro, should we be worried about Burrow? So it's like one of the things like, I have to highlight it that he played really well. I thought that the line held up for him pretty well. There was one where pressure was invited. Burrow still got the ball off. I posted a picture because I was rewatching that drive yesterday. I posted a clip. Yes, they were in max protect that people have pointed out to me, but it was one of the best pockets I've ever seen Joe Burrow ever have. And I thought, like, for the most part, they look really good. And that brings me to my next point. Dylan Fairchild. I know the right guard thing. We're going to get into that as well. Dylan Fairchild pretty much pitched a shutout and almost had a perfect score. No one got pushed on him. He did everything I thought on point. Yes, I'm not in the meetings to see everybody's assignment. Is he running duo the way he's supposed to? Is he doing, you know what I mean? I'm not privy to that information. But from what you saw, is he winning his reps? He looked amazing, bro. 100% blocking rate, no pressures, no sacks, nothing like that. So that was somebody that really, really stood out in that game. Tanner Hudson was another guy that people like myself thought was probably gone. after they signed Noah Fant. Tanner Hudson, as a result of Mike Gesicki with the hamstring, was forced to play the whole entire game. So Tanner Hudson comes out of that game and has like 6 catches, I think 72 or 62 yards, has a really good game. He looks solid. You got to think, because this tight end room now is divided into, you got the blockers with Grandy and Sample. Then you got your receivers with Gesicki and Hudson. And then you got Noah Fant that could do a little bit of both. And I thought because early on, Noah Fant still learning the offense, Tanner Hudson had to step up because Gesicki wasn't there, and he did. That was really good to see too. Of course, it's Jamar Chase, the best wide receiver in football. I don't think it's close. The Jettis conversation we're going to have all year, I fear, out of no reason at all other than the fact that he's a Bengal and he wears black and orange. Are we even having that conversation? If Burrow wore black and yellow or Dallas Cowboys colors, Jamar Chase would be unequivocally, undoubtedly the number 1 player, not even wide receiver, known in the NFL right now. But as Bengals fans, we are trained to not say that. And Justin Jefferson, they're neck and neck. Like, no, Jamar Chase, under 25 years old, to me is the best player in football. And anybody that you could say that is better is 30 and up and Myles Garrett or something like that. Cool, whatever. Jamar Chase is like that, and he showed that again in that preseason game. Going to the defensive side of the ball, where I thought Geno Stone not being there, BJ Hill not being there, some of those guys not being there, opened up the floodgates for some of the other guys to get some reps. Guys like PJ Jules, I think I'm saying his name, guys like that come in and take advantage of this opportunity, and now makes it so guys on the roster like John Meta, different guys like that, I don't know if they're going to make the roster. Also, Cedric Johnson, guys like that out as well. So I'm not sure if those guys are going to make the roster because some of these other guys are stepping up. Jules stepped up in there. You would like to see some of the other safeties and stuff that we're going to get into as far as the bat. You'd like to see some of those guys step up. I thought Knight looked pretty good early on and then kind of had some flaws like a little bit later. Also up front, Chris Jenkins, a name that people aren't talking about when they talk about our defensive line and our depth. This is a guy, premium pick. Now, second round, that's a second round pick. Guy plays an outstanding game. I thought he looked really good in that game. Outside of that, I thought Slayton, a guy I'm really, really high on. I didn't think that he looked that great in that game. He got really good push on one rep, got a hand up in McKee's face. I don't think it impacted the throw, but it was a good rep by him. Outside of that, wasn't really too much other good for me. What you got?
Yeah, I think most of the good was the first team offense, like we kind of talked about. Joe Burrow doing his thing, Jamar Chase being on the same page. First team offense doing exactly what they should have done to a second team Eagles defense. So you like to see that. 10 of 11, even with Burrow saying that they were average, I thought that was telling. I think when it comes to the good as well, Shemar Stewart, the way that he was able to push the pocket and get rushes in there, especially for being a guy that missed all of mini camp and most of training camp, I thought that he looked very well as well. The bad we know is the defense. Too many explosive plays given up, which was a theme last season. Right, I'm not ready to write them off yet because obviously this is going to be a transition. This is going to be a new defensive system. They got to get comfortable and things of that nature. But I didn't like what I saw there. I didn't like the depth that I saw from the offensive line. I didn't like what I saw from Jake Browning. That did not look good. And there is a reason why Desmond Ridder is now getting second team reps because Jake Browning looked awful in that game. And from what I noticed, I just feel like the Bengals' depth, period, it's not as good as it's been in the past, which is why we've kind of talked about adding more competition at the guard position, adding another safety, something like that. You talk about Justin Simmons or something like that. Like the depth that they have with Noah Fant has helped them out. They need to do that at some other areas, mainly offensive line, mainly in that secondary. You talk about the corners. DJ Turner was allowing some catches that didn't really look good, especially when you're talking about second and third receivers, right? We're talking about the fourth, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, being able to make plays on not only him, but DJ Ivy. So that's concerning. But like I said, I'm not willing to panic right now. I think that those are things that they can improve upon. And I think when we see them versus the first team offense this week, if they do good against the Commanders, if the Commanders are playing their starters, I think that that'll give us a better kind of view of what this defense can be like in terms of making their adjustments and learning from what they did the first game. So not great, right? Like when you make Tanner McKee look like Peyton Manning in his prime, people are going to be upset, rightfully so. But we just need, in my opinion, this defense to be 20th, 21st, 22nd. That's all I'm looking for. If they can do that, get Joe Burrow the ball back and make stops here and there, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for them to be an elite unit, but they looked like a bottom 5 unit in that game. I'm not going to lie. But this is building blocks. And as this continues to go on and throughout the season, if they can start off, not the best, but end in a stretch where they're going to be in those 20s, the top of the 20s, 20, 21, 22, that's what it's going to take. So obviously we wanted to see better, and I think we'll see better in the next showing from the defense, but that was not good. Special teams also was a little bit of issue. I wanted to see more from Jermaine Burton, but obviously with him dealing with the injury now, maybe that played a little bit into it. Was impressed some of the good, Charlie Jones, Chuck Sizzle. I've been a big criticizer of his. He looked good in this game. He actually got some reps with the first team offense, did some things, made some good catches there. So seems like he might not be written off of this roster. You talked about Tanner Hudson as well. He looked good. And I just would have wanted to see what Noah Fant would have done in this situation, but I understand it. I get it. But, yeah, Tanner Hudson is definitely still going to have a role if there's any kind of injuries that the Bengals face from that standpoint.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. There's a lot of stuff. I thought the Desmond Ridder one that you just brought up, too, is really important because it does disappoint me that the Bengals didn't make that move with Jake Browning when I thought they had a chance, and now the value is lost, and now you got a real, conversation between QB2. And if Desmond Ridder, wins out, like even if you could have got a 6-7 round pick for Browning, like that's something for a team that needs extra draft picks. So I thought that was very disappointing to see. Like Jake Browning looked that bad. That like neither one of those guys. I mean, just like any other thing in the NFL, if you lose your best player, your quarterback, you're cooked. Like it is, like you can try to figure out and formulate different ways to kind of go get it. You're cooked. Like even when we lost Burrow, Jake Browning held it together, but you're cooked. Like when we're talking and having these conversations about Super Bowl aspirations. So, I was going to show a stat too, and I was showing you all this in the group chat, I think the other day, but it was talking about like where you were just talking about with overall defensive efforts. And I think we had talked about it one time on the show. But to me, the Bengals, and this would be the path, the 2006 Colts, I feel like Burrow's in this state of his career before he gets to his Tom Brady level, and you just maximize protection, give him a really good defense, like give him a top 10 defense, fringe top 10. Burrow's not there, and the front office knows that it takes time to do that, and that's why you didn't trade T. Higgins, because you can't try to make these moves on the fly. But the 2006 Colts, Peyton Manning wins the Super Bowl. They finished the regular season 23 in points allowed. They were 32 in rushing yards allowed. I think it was Bob Sanders, their safety, who was hurt for a significant amount of time, and I think he comes back later in the season. But it really hurt that defense. And when people say, are you trying to get middle of the pack, performance and stuff, I think that you're alluding to like the offense has to be so potent that it's like that. And I think with the weapons that they have, I think that is very possible. I think that this is the best offense that the Bengals, and Joe Burrow said that consistently. These are the best weapons that he's had. You brought up Noah Fant. Noah Fant, in the last couple practices, you're seeing now more tight end screens. You're seeing more utilization of him getting involved in the blocking game. You're seeing more different things that they're adding in. Remember, when Eric All was there, the Bengals really, really got into the whole point of let's use this guy as a two-dimensional tight end that can do multiple things. And I think that now Noah Fant, you're seeing that at practices. Yesterday was a bad practice for Burrow in the offense, particularly because of the offensive line. But there was a lot of tight end utilization going on. There's a lot of now middle screens. There's a lot of screens now going to Chase Brown, and they're changing up the different things that they can do because Joe Burrow's coming to the podium and letting people know that on the outside, there's going to be a lot of teams that do have some formulas that can work. If you have an outstanding corner, then those are chances that you don't have to take throwing to outside hashes if you have a Noah Fant in the middle of the field, if you have a Mike Gesicki, or you have a Chase Brown coming out of the backfield, because now I'm taking away your best corners over here on the outside. Now I'm taking less than players and asking them to make plays. And to me, that's coaching, and that's what coaching has to do all the time, is be aggressive in what you're doing and make the team adjust to what you're doing. Not we're countering a look from the defense. We need to be the attacking point. And I think the Bengals for the first time are in that position. Dustin Cross, shout out to you. Shout out to the super chat. He says, optimistic on the front seven on defense. The secondary got me shook. What do you think of moving CTB to safety and just letting Turner and Newton go outside? Ace, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I think right now CTB, at least, obviously he didn't play in game one. I think he's been a little bit more consistent than DJ Turner as it stands right now. I get the thought because CTB played safety in college. Dax Hill's a guy that played safety in college. I'm not sure that I would want to move any of those guys to safety as it stands right now because corner is still a concern. I would rather kind of look at a situation where obviously Geno Stone has the injury. They need to look at bringing in a guy like Justin Simmons. I don't think Justin Simmons at this point is going to cost you that much money. I mean, you got to think about it. We're heading on preseason week 2. He's not really in a situation where he has much leverage. He's already said that he wants to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I would want them to go out and get an actual safety because I don't like taking a prospect like a Dax or a CTB and making them have to learn a whole new role, midway right before the season. I don't think that that's a good recipe for success. I think that that's setting them up for failure. And we've seen what that's done to guys like Dax Hill. We've seen him struggle with that transition. So for me, I would just continue to let those guys play on the outside.
I'm in the same boat. The safety portion, though, I will say this season, and I think a lot of Bengals fans like myself and you, as you just stated, really want to see the security of a known entity of like a Justin Simmons, Brandon Sheriff, Dalton Reisner, and all these guys like that. I will say from the safety position, Dejon Anthony, his athleticism, I don't think that you could go find that like out there. Now, is he taking the best angles? Is he doing whatever? Probably not, whatever, right? But I think it would be his opportunity now to learn. Same thing with Tyson Anderson. Are you going to find somebody with that level of speed, that with athleticism? Like if they were to cut any of those two, just in a hypothetical world, I think that they get grabbed up and 12 plus teams put in a claim. And what that tells me is that they have enough talent level to give you what you want, but they're not a sure thing. But the only way that we're going to know, to me, is to play him. I would like a Justin Simmons on there, but I just don't want I don't want him taking reps away from these guys again. And then we're just going through a whole new cycle of safety. That's the only downside on it. It's like, if they're going to get plays put on him, cool, let's see. All right, boom. He gave up a touchdown week 1, solid game week 2, gives up another touchdown week 3, solid. And then you start to see him getting more solid, you'd be like, good. Like, I think we got our safety. But if you just don't even give him that chance, like I think that some of these guys have never had, then I think you'll never know. And we're going to start up this whole new cycle of just drafting a safety again next year. Whereas the guard position is very different, though. I think that the play is so poor, and you brought in a veteran Justin Simmons level guy with Lucas Patrick, right? And you have a veteran guy, Cody Ford, and they look like they suck. And so now it's like, we need to go, they didn't do what we wanted to do in the draft. And that's why I'm like, now I'm at the point where like, bro, yeah, go give me Sheriff, give me Will Hernandez, give me Reisner. Do you agree with that sentiment, or do you feel like it doesn't matter? We need to make sure that we stop this now.
I think it doesn't matter. I think right now you're in Super Bowl or bust mode. And I think right now when it comes from the safety position, Geno Stone has been a third safety. I mean, he had 6 interceptions in that role. So if it was different, like if I'd never seen that from Geno Stone, then I would be like, sure. Dejon Anthony, I love him, but I think that if you had Justin Simmons, you're now 4 deep at safety. Whereas I feel like we've been waiting on, that's been the whole story on our safety room, is waiting for these guys to emerge. And I just feel like if you're in a position right now to stack the talent, go ahead and stack it. You had Noah Fant available, you added him there. You got guards out there available, add them there. You got question marks at safety and corner, add someone there, because I feel like if you're just waiting, doing a wait and see, I don't know if you're fully all the way in on trying to make this run. Baltimore wasn't like, hey, let's see what we got with one of these young corners while Jair Alexander is out there. And Jair Alexander, even though he's a potential upgrade, he still has injury histories. He still got concerns and stuff like that. And they went ahead and took the swing. Justin Simmons, like if Justin Simmons isn't good, you could just bench him. Like if it works out, like you can play him with Geno Stone. If Geno Stone is hurt, I can't say that I'm cool with throwing Dejon Anthony out there with Jordan Battle and seeing what we saw from the Chiefs game. Not to say he's the same player, but there's going to be some growing pains, and this team cannot afford to go through growing pains, I think, in this season, right? Like the growing pains thing, the Joseph Osai move where he's hitting Pat Mahomes at about, like those cost you playoff games. Like the Dejon Anthony thing, it's not just that. It's other stuff that happened along the way. But if that pass interference call doesn't happen, the Bengals are in the playoffs. So I'm not saying that I don't want to see those guys play, but I don't see the harm in adding to Justin Simmons. And here's the thing with it as well. He's a veteran that can teach the Dejon Anthonys and the Jordan Battles of the world. Like, hey, I've been an all-pro. I might not be at that level right now, but this is insight that I can give you to help you be a better player at the position. I think it should be open for all positions, guard as well. Lucas Patrick is ass. I'm sorry. We don't even cuss on this show, but Lucas Patrick is ass. They need to get him out of there. They need to get somebody else in there. Like, I'm not saying that I agree with you. The safety position isn't that far gone, but bro, Lucas Patrick is not the guy at all whatsoever. That's right.
Yeah. I agree with you on the Lucas Patrick thing. I think it's all strategy, man. I do want to see what those guys have. Just like like some of the other guys, I just don't. I think I know what DJ Turner really is. Like I really do. Like, have I seen a full season of it? No. But I think that anytime anybody that's a bigger wide receiver in the National Football League, I think I know what's going to happen. And I just think that, like some of these other guys, I just haven't seen enough of it. And that's my only worry. But of course, you want somebody in there that can, lead them in the right direction. So I think that those are some of the key points right now when I look at the roster. There are some things that I think give me pause. And would you say that right guard and safety position are those the main ones? I've seen a lot of like chatter about Logan Wilson this past week. Is there anything else that stands out to you that you feel like people probably aren't paying attention to?
I would probably say corner. I mean, I think it's talked about, but I think the depth at corner, we thought it was a strength. It may not be. Linebacker potentially outside of Logan Wilson, like you said, I think could be it.
See, for me, I was going to see if we were on the same page with this. I think the Logan Wilson one, him coming off the injury and different things like that, it does give me a little bit of pause to say, like, where is he at? Are we, because I saw a tweet. I thought it was a really good tweet. Somebody said, is Shemar Stewart a top 10 player on the Bengals right now? And at first, and Ryan, shout out to Ryan. Ryan was like, Zim, I didn't get a chance to respond to Ryan. And I said, I think so. And the reason why is because some of these other players, they're not really flashing or making plays, but every single time that you see a practice, every time, and I know it seems kind of early, but every single time that we have a rep, every single time that he has an opportunity, whether it's a game, whether it's a practice, whether it's a hit on Joe Burrow that you don't like, he's always there doing something. And I made a tweet, and I think it was like a couple of days ago now. Miles Murphy had never done that in the last couple of years. So automatically, just off of like just sheer talent, Shemar Stewart is already ahead of him to me. And then when you start looking at some of the other guys on the roster, like DJ Turner, you don't really, you've seen him. Dax Hill's moved around. Like, I don't really know. They said they got him at, this is his third position. Now he's in the slot. You don't know. But the one constant I will say is that Shemar Stewart being out there really changes the dynamic of Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson is a guy that led the National Football League in sacks with virtually nothing on the other side. A half of a shell of a player in Sam Hubbard. If you have a disruptive guy like that, I think that right there, causes a lot of different things, a lot of problems. Another guy I think too that can enter that conversation is TJ Slayton. That's a guy that the Bengals did not have last year that they hoped that they could get something like that from Sheldon Rankins. Those are too early to tell, but those are guys that I really, really feel like can really change like the trajectory of some of the things on defense.
Yeah. He almost changed the trajectory with bumping into Burrow. So once you finish
Bumping
this,
into Burrow.
want to hear your thoughts on that.
We're going to get into that. But some of the things that do give me a little bit of pulse, because there are some things that I think are really good. On the tackle position, seeing our Mims with the wrap on pretty thick, still there. When I think about what's a team that could beat the Bengals, it had to be a team with – that's why I think when Bills fans talk to – like when I look at them, I'm like, you want us to game plan for Greg Rousseau? Like no disrespect, but he not Myles Garrett. He not TJ Watt. He not Chris Jones, right? And what's the team that could really hurt you? It's like a team with a Myles Garrett, a team with like a line like the Giants, like somebody with a dominant line that doesn't have to blitz. And the only way that could change that is like if Mims or Orlando Brown were to not be there. Now I got Cody Ford, Stuber, or whatever bro name is, Cochran, like a bunch of cheeks off the bench. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking like that's something that's a red flag to me. And I talked about this on one of our shows. Is like that swing tackle position. I don't like I thought Rivers looked awful at tackle. And I only like him at guard. I think he should be getting on Monday night, he should be getting first, second team. They need to put Rivers at guard and see what he's got. That tackle position with the Mims wrap and then Orlando Brown missing practice, I think yesterday, that's the one that kind of got me. I know everybody's focusing on the right guard.
Tackle. Yeah, I agree with you.
The tackle thing is really like kind of like a thing for me. And the only thing, and I know this is a little ignorant, Alex Cabot got the triple crown of ass last year, giving up the most sacks, pressures, and all these different things. And Joe Burrow threw for a career high 4,900 yards, right? So the right guard thing, I'm not as concerned as everybody else. I am concerned, but not as much as everyone else because I've seen the worst of the worst at that same position. I've seen Volson look very bad on the other side. If the tackles on the edge, if Orlando Brown and Mims, the strength of your offensive line aren't there and you don't have legitimate backups, that's the one that I'm monitoring. I'm like, bro, I don't know what the game plan is on that. I don't like that at all.
No, I agree. I think the tackle depth is definitely a concern. It's still a concern. Doesn't look like Rivers is an NFL tackle. So, like you said, where does that leave them? And I think that's a really bad position for them to be in. I think the depth at tackle needs to get better. This used to be a team that could draft guys like Dennis Rowland who were backups and then they go off to become Pro Bowl players other places. They've gotten away from that. And I think some of the guys that they end up keeping and championing is one of the reasons why it continues to be like that. You talk about Cody Ford. They championed him this whole offseason. They championed guys. Who was the guy that Jackson Kirkland, like they tried to come out there like that was a huge signing. Like, they have to be real about the situation. Scott Peters is going to do his thing as the offensive line coach, but he cannot you can't put sugar on you-know-what and expect it to end up being something different. And so I think that's what they're doing. And honestly, you got to get better players. I think that's where it's at this point. But what are your thoughts? Because when Shemar Stewart hits Joe Burrow, we don't see the actual video, right? Because it pans away. But apparently he took Joe Burrow down at yesterday's practice. I don't think that it was intentional or anything like that, but you got to be smarter because Joe is the future. I think Ted Karras talked about it yesterday. He was like, that's all of our dreams and aspirations. That's our ticket to the Super Bowl. He cannot, do something like that against Joe Burrow. It's exciting to see him beat Lucas Patrick. Well, depends on how you feel about it. I mean, it may be exciting. It may not be exciting, but at the end of the day, that scuffle I feel like was warranted because I just think about the don't touch the merchandise. Joe Burrow is the whole jewelry store. So what were your thoughts on that from that perspective?
It's two different perspectives. One, it's like, okay, I like the fact that the team took up for Joe. It was a scuffle and all these different things, the toughness that came behind it and everything like that. Or actually, I guess 3 different angles. So that's one of the observations. Is like they took up for Joe when that happened. Even the defensive players talked to him and said, bro, like, what are you doing? I honestly think it's forward momentum from the clip that you can see. It's like just moving forward, but he has to be smart enough to know, like, bro, like that's Joe Burrow. You got to pull up, fall on the ground before you dive towards Joe Burrow. It looked like it was low. So, like, if you're falling, you need to fall the other way and do whatever you want. Like, you get hurt falling somewhere other than falling on him. So I get that. The other part, the person that's walking away from this thing is unscathed is your boy Patrick. Why are you allowing this dude to, to be in Joe Burrow's face? You got to be better. You got to block better. You got to perform better so that you don't even put your quarterback in a position like that. Because if you're blocking him, then we're not even having this conversation like that. So Mr. Cheeks himself isn't, he isn't blocking and doing what he's got to do to protect Joe. And then after the fact, okay, we're all, I don't know. I think the internet just needed something to talk to about sometimes. Like, I don't even know if I had a tweet about the actual fight itself. I think that's just part of football, honestly. I mean, this is like practice number 14 or something. Like, I'm surprised this is the first fight that they had, honestly. Like, it's just part of football and on that part. But I just think that Patrick and company need to block better. And I'm not here to say I told you so, but the Bengals easily could have deaded all these conversations with drafting whoever they want in the first, come back round 2 and draft Tate Ratledge, and then come back round 3, draft Fairchild. We're not having none of this conversation, and we got a real battle of swing tackles and everything on the outside. Of course, Knight and all these different things that might switch around. But I think that conversation is dead if you just go draft the best available guard that fell right into your lap at that spot and you passed up on it. And when they passed up on it, and you might be like, thinking like, the Bengals were smart here because Tate really isn't. The Lions, a top 3 offensive line in football, said you idiots passed up on them, and then they traded right out and then took them and was like, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we wouldn't even have this conversation, bro. Like, and I hate to do that, be that guy, but that really stands out to me where the Bengals really thought they had a plan. Now they got a guy giving up sacks, falling over there. Now we having a conversation about should they be fighting and da-da-da. Like, do better, perform better, be better. Don't let Shemar Stewart even get close to him. I get it, he's nice, but you know what I'm saying? Like, block him, bro.
No, I agree. And speaking of having a plan, it's lunchtime, and you better plan on stopping by Midwest Best Barbecue.
Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. They was them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. Cause 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you stop in and let them know Ace and them sent you. And when y'all do that, we always get a text from Tim and Nicole letting them know, or letting us know, that you guys told them that you're there. So go try some of those brisket fries out. Go get you some teas. Go get you some Dillinators. And go get you all the food that you can from Midwest Best Barbecue at lunchtime while we're doing this lunch show. Zen, was there anything that you wanted to say before we get up out of here?
I wanted to say, how about the quarterback list that was, put out between all the GMs and everything like that? Why was everybody? Did you have any thoughts about, the GMs and all these different people that put this out? So 6 GMs, 6 assistant GMs, 6 former GMs, 5 other execs, 8 head coaches, 19 other coaches, including 15 coordinators, agreed that Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes tied for tier 1. After that, it's tier 3, Josh Allen, tier 4, Lamar Jackson, tier 5, Matthew Stafford, and the list goes, Jaden Daniels at 6, and so on and so on. Did you have any thoughts on that and why what do you think the reason why people are so upset that real GMs and real people watching football understand that Joe Burrow in his only 3 full seasons has surpassed 4,600, 4,800, and 4,900 yards throwing the football, and he is the best throwing quarterback alone, just that alone, in the National Football League?
I think they know ball. I mean, I think it's hard to say, like, if you study the game and you look at the quarterback position, there's no one playing the quarterback position better than Joe Burrow right now. So I think that they were just real about it. Everybody wants to point to the weapons. No one wants to point to the shortcomings of the offensive line, the bad defense, the spotty coaching here and there. But it's clear that Joe Burrow is a tier 1 quarterback. I mean, we've been saying this for years. It's just him and Mahomes. Like, it's like people can talk about Josh Allen, people can talk about Lamar, but in those moments, they don't shine like Burrow, and they don't. When you turn on the film, like Uno said, it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I mean, I guess there's nothing else to really say other than that. On my end, I feel like the last couple of years, Mahomes has a knack, whether you believe in the conspiracy theories, the whistles, or whatever, but pulling out these really close games. But throughout the course of the game, he is aided by a really good defense. He's aided by a really good, probably the best offensive mind in football, and a Hall of Fame tight end, all these different things. And I get it. The Bengals are always going to say, well, they got 2 wide receivers. The Bengals drafted them. It isn't like they went in free agency and went and found these guys. So it's like, we shouldn't be reprimanded for having 2 wide receivers. Those same people don't come back and say, well, your linebackers, aren't really on the same, you know what I'm saying? So you got to, if you're going to do that, you got to look at the whole roster. I think the supporting cast, great show to watch if you really want to get a deep dive information on all of this stuff, is the one that we did with Warren Sharp, where he talks about the supporting cast of all of these other guys. It pales in comparison to all of these other guys. Everybody brings up that wide receiver thing when it's convenient to the argument, but then in any other conversation, they'll tell you that our whole team is ass, our corners are ass, our defense is ass, the offensive line is ass. And so you have to factor that in my opinion. And I think that goes more synonymous with winning and losing versus who's the better quarterback. And I thought in my mind, more people would side with the Joe Burrow thing. And I thought a lot of people were very angry that Joe Burrow was at that spot. And I'm like, for what? Every time he's out there, he's like giving everybody work. Like there's nobody he didn't get work to. And if you get him in a playoff format, he does really good. I don't understand what's the issue, but I think that's all I got. Please make sure you all subscribe, cut on alerts. Make sure you follow us and listen to the Bengals Pulse as well. On Twitter, we're Wincinnati Pod. That is the only Wincinnati account on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter and Instagram, Zimhude and New Stripe City. Please make sure you follow us on those outlets. And that's going to be a wrap for us today on Wincinnati, my guy.
Coming up on the Wincinnati Podcast.
Hello, world. Wincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
It's a new beginning. You know what that means, right?
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.